They don't care about a meaningful conversation. They care about propagating this nationalistic aesthetic. So here's what I'm gonna say. Here's my flaming hot take. You ready? So most of you are probably aware about the Gwen Berry national anthem protest that has conservatives with their American flag underwear violating the American Code 301 something or another in a scrunched up wad. Team USA hammer thrower Gwen Berry protests the national anthem ahead of Tokyo Olympics. Now, some of what she said I think was a little silly. She claimed it was a setup. She said she felt set up by the timing of the nightly anthem, which happened during her medal ceremony after it was delayed. I feel like it was a setup, and they did it on purpose, said the outspoken activist. I was pissed, to be honest. They said they were going to play it before we walked out, then they played it when we were out there, Berry added. But I don't really want to talk about the anthem because it's not important. The anthem doesn't speak for me. It never has. Okay. So yeah, I think that that's a little silly to claim that you were like set up. I mean, maybe they just had a scheduling error. That sounds kind of silly. But if she doesn't feel that the national anthem speaks for her, and she doesn't want to stand and pledge allegiance to the American flag or something, who cares? Why is this a problem? That's what I don't understand. Conservatives get really, really mad about this. And I don't understand it. Who cares? Like, when I see this, to me, it does not give me any form of emotional response. I don't see that and think, what an ungrateful bitch. Blah, blah, blah. I just see a person that didn't feel like standing for the national anthem. Okay. I literally don't care. It's thanks to America and the freedoms afforded to us in America that we have the right to protest our own country. That's an American value right there. But it doesn't really matter what I think, because conservatives were mad about it, because this is disrespectful, this is mean, this is bad. How dare you not stand for the special American theme song? This brings me into a little bit of a broader conversation, though, about nationalism, more specifically. Now, you've heard me before say that I think nationalism is really cringy, but we need to get into the nitty-gritty about what nationalism actually is. So the first thing that I wanted to find out was, what is the difference between patriotism and nationalism? Oftentimes you hear this used interchangeably, but these words do kind of mean different things. So patriotism usually refers to appreciating your country for what it is done, okay? Whereas nationalism is being proud of your country no matter what it does. That was a quote that I think really sums up well the difference between patriotism and nationalism. Nationalism is more of an aggressive form of patriotism. So, according to dictionary.com, the word patriotism is a noun that means devoted love, support, and defense of one's country, national loyalty. The term often brings to mind people directly involved with the defense of a nation, namely military service members. Okay, so that all makes sense. What is nationalism? Now, this is a little bit more of a challenging one also, because there's not really a academic consensus on what defines nationalism. It's been used differently throughout history. In most contexts today, nationalism is the policy or doctrine of asserting the interests of one's own nation viewed as separate from the interests of other nations or the common interests of all nations. In short, nationalism is a kind of excessive, aggressive patriotism. Right, so it's elevating your country even if it's at the expense of other countries. Modern nationalism is rooted in part in French and American revolutions that fought for the sovereignty of their people over monarchies. This historic nationalism is generally viewed favorably. So it's important to remember that nationalism is not necessarily intrinsically bad every single time in every single context. This gives a great example of historically the way that it has been used in more positive contexts. But then it follows, however, fascist regimes have merged the fervor of nationalism with the notions of superiority, especially when it comes to ethnicity and religion. In such contexts, patriots can become those who happen to agree with you or look like you, and traitors those who do not. This form of nationalism is what happens when patriotism gets out of hand and morphs into something more exclusionary, isolationist, and chauvinist. So, this type of nationalism is extremely dangerous, and we see this on the conservative side a lot. Very often, we see conservatives propping up this blind support, loyalty, and love for their country, regardless of anything. It would be different if conservatives were willing to have a conversation about some systemic issues in America, some of the flaws in America, but they never want to talk about that. They want to obfuscate from that and only worship the country and point to the country being good. It's loving your country no matter what, not loving your country for what it's done. A nationalist believes that his country is the best because they live in it, but a patriot believes that his country is the best, but there's always room for improvement. A nationalist can't tolerate any criticism of his country and considers it an insult, but a patriot can tolerate criticism and have a thoughtful conversation about improvements. So just to be clear, the conservatives that are up in arms about this, they are not being respectful towards their country. They are refusing to look at any criticism or conversation to be had about potential flaws in their country. They're turning a blind eye to that and only pushing for a worship and a loyalty of their country. Dan Crenshaw, the guy who, if I'm not mistaken, wrote a whole ass book about cancel culture, calling for this Olympic athlete to now be canceled. Let's take a look.
She turned her back on the flag during the anthem, and she also put a black T-shirt over her face that said, activist athlete.
We don't need any more activist athletes. She should be removed from the team. The entire point of the Olympic team is to represent the United States of America. That's the entire point. Okay, so, it's one thing when these NBA players do it. Okay, fine, we'll just stop watching. But now the Olympic team, and it's multiple cases of this. They should be removed. That should be the bare minimum requirement, is that you believe in the country representing.
Yes, she represents America, but an American value is that you're able to criticize your country. So it's fine if she doesn't want to stand there and pledge allegiance to her flag. Second of all, you say that it should be a requirement that you believe in the country to be on the team and that she should be kicked off the team for not standing for the national anthem. That's your threshold, Dan? Are you serious right now? Didn't this guy write a book about cancel culture? Now apparently this is his threshold for when it's appropriate to cancel somebody. They didn't stand and salute the Special America theme song. But this is why nationalism is so cringy. It's all about the aesthetics. They don't want to have a conversation about why does this person not feel represented by the national anthem. All they care about is the aesthetics of it. They want you to look like you respect the country. They want it to look like everybody is in perfect harmony under the American flag. They don't care about a meaningful conversation. They care about propagating this nationalistic aesthetic. So here's what I'm going to say. Here's my flaming hot take. You ready? If you're okay with people standing for the anthem and more or less worshiping the anthem to a degree, standing there pledging your allegiance to it, if you're okay with that and would push for that, as Dan Crenshaw has, then you should by default also be okay when people burn the American flag. Because if you are going to take pride in something that you have nothing to do with, if you're just going to be proud to be an American because America is great because it's America and America is good, then you should also be okay with people criticizing the country as well. If you're going to take pride in the country and something you really had nothing to do, it's not your accomplishment. You were just born in America. You did nothing to make this country what it is. If you're going to take pride in that, then you should also be embarrassed when your country fucks up. And you should be okay with having a conversation about some of the flaws in your country. But they're not, because they're irrational. And they're not patriots. They, by definition, are not patriots. Patriots are okay criticizing the country. Nationalists, like these dumb fucks, just want you sitting down, shutting up, and worshiping the country. By this logic, I'm a bigger patriot than these people. Hell yeah. Hold on. I'll be right back. Ha ha. All right. Now that we've established that I'm the bigger patriot than these conservative cucks that aren't okay with any form of criticism against their country, then, now I'm going to start rocking my American flag. That's right. This is Patriot Hunter Avalone signing on, bitches. Now, you might be asking, why is nationalism even a bad thing, really? And it's because it leads to bad outcomes. Nationalism, almost by default, leads to, like we were reading, isolationist policies, this idea that your country is superior, other countries are shitty, and it's inevitable that that will lead to xenophobia, which is the fear of people from other countries. This will lead to stronger policies on keeping immigrants out, for example. That would hurt the country even on an economic level. Even in a practical sense, nationalism and xenophobia hurts the country economically. I have a list here of the positive economic impacts from immigration. First, we have the myth about immigration hurts American workers. The facts are that immigrants are highly entrepreneurial. Immigrants are great at being entrepreneurs, launching new companies at twice the rate of native-born Americans, and creating large numbers of jobs. All of this increases employment opportunities for native-born American workers, boosts wages, and strengthens the middle class. That's one way that immigration greatly benefits the country. Economic impact. Immigrants are a drain on the U.S. economy, and reducing immigration would make our economy stronger. Myth. The fact is that the United States needs immigrants to stay competitive and drive economic growth. Am I okay? Is this what happens when you wear an American flag? Your IQ points just by default go down. As our economy starts to reopen, individuals who create jobs are absolutely critical to our recovery. Immigrants are innovators, job creators, and consumers with an enormous spending power that drives our economy and creates employment opportunities for all Americans. Immigrants added $2 trillion to the U.S. GDP in 2016. Holy shit. In 2018, after immigrants spent billions of dollars on state and local and federal taxes, they were left with $1.2 trillion in spending power, which they used to purchase goods and services, stimulating local business activity. This is a way that everyday working middle-class Americans can relate to the benefits of immigration. When the economy does well, when jobs are created, middle-class American workers benefit from that. When immigrants, illegal and legal, pay into social services, middle-class Americans benefit from that. This is a way that everyday average Americans benefit from immigrants. Nationalism leading to this xenophobic idea that we need to keep immigrants out, that only will hurt the country and in turn hurt everyday working middle-class Americans. There is no real reason to be a nationalist. The final reason why being a nationalist is just super cringy is it's really, really hypocritical. How often do you hear conservatives... Hold on, wait, let me get my MAGA hat. Because, like, okay, here's the thing. This is conservatives all Pride Month, okay? They're, like, over here on this side. Why do gay people act like it's an accomplishment? They were born that way, right? They were born gay, so why is it a big deal? Why are they celebrating it, huh? That's conservatives during Pride Month, and then this is like conservatives all of a sudden on the 4th of July. I am so proud to be an American. Being born on this rock has made me special. Fireworks. Bald eagle. Grilling a barbecue. I mean, seriously, though, it's really hypocritical. Like, I don't understand why you would take pride because you were born in America. Like, you don't have anything to do with that. You didn't have anything to do with making the country great. I think that it's okay to be, happy with the accomplishments our country has made, but you have to be willing to have a conversation about the flaws of our country also, or else our country cannot get better. But these nationalists, the people that are super pissed off that one Olympic girl didn't stand for the national anthem, those people are only really hurting our country at the end of the day. They are. They're harming valuable dialogue that could be had, that can lead to good conversations, that can lead to America improving, and they're leading to practical economic harms on everyday Americans as well. Another bit of misinformation I'd like to clear up. This is being propagated by multiple conservatives, even our favorite, Lauren Chen, or as I like to call her, Fascist Barbie doll.
Actually know this, the International Olympic Committee has actually banned political protests at the Games. As Time writes, quote, "The Olympics are not and must never be a platform to advance political or any other divisive ends," said IOC President Thomas Bach. "Our political neutrality is undermined whenever organizations or individuals attempt to use the Olympic Games as a stage for their own agendas, as legitimate as they may be." And personally, I actually think this approach—
Okay, so you're going to hear a lot of conservatives bringing this one up. I kind of feel like Dan Crenshaw may have been getting at that also when he said she should be kicked off. So there is an Olympic Rule 50, okay, which states that no kind of demonstration or political, religious, or racist propaganda is permitted at any Olympic site, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's true. And it's also true that there is not going to be any political protest allowed at the Tokyo Olympics. But here's the problem. Gwen Berry wasn't at the Tokyo Olympics. Gwen Berry was in Oregon. She's still at the Olympic trials. And it turns out that the rules for the Olympic trials are different. Raised fists and kneeling during the anthem is okay at the U.S. Olympic trials. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee will not sanction athletes for raising their fists or kneeling during the national anthem at Olympic trials, previewing a contentious policy it expects to stick to when many of those same athletes head to Tokyo this summer. It's just really weird because Dan Crenshaw is like, she should be kicked off the team. For what? Why? She didn't even break a rule. Like, there's no justification other than he's mad that she didn't stand and look at the waving American flag and sing the special song. Like, come on, man. I think it's a little ridiculous that we make kids do the Pledge of Allegiance at schools. I think that's kind of stupid. Would you ever expect your kids to pledge allegiance to any other thing? Why should they pledge allegiance to their country? It's all just so ridiculous. Nationalism only leads to bad things. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.